This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Oakland Athletics.
Rooker, it's a fly ball to deep center. Robert going back at the track. He will turn and watch it fly.
And 29 other MLB clubs.
Adolis Garcia swings on the other way. That sends Carroll back. He's at the wall. And the legend Cruz. Ronald Acuna, another milestone in a truly historic season.
Julio with an absolute nuke out to left field.
It's Glaber Day. And like a good Glaber, Torres is there.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe. From humidors to Stuff Plus to walk-off dingers, we have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
We're having a debate in studio right now to start the show. Are you telling me if I took a picture of that and showed the audience, your headphones are almost identical to mine? It's barely a difference.
Mine's a little lower.
A little. Maybe all these years, my hearing, it's just my hearing's sensitive. And then you think about it.
Well, think of all the years you've had to wear headphones.
I've been wearing headphones since the 90s. You turn that down just a little bit. Even that's a little loud. Am I getting to be like Greg Papa to where I'm just deaf? Am I getting to that point? Greg Papa, I swear to God, I will never forget. I used to do the show after Greg Papa after 95.7. And I remember one time I forgot my headphones and like, oh, Papas are there. And I put it and the thing, I was like, it blew. It was so loud because Greg Papa's deaf. He'll tell you that. He can't hear. And it was like, wow, we have a wonderful show for you today as the Athletics go on the road. It's going to be San Diego. It's that traditional San Diego to Minnesota road trip everybody looks forward to every single year. We got some great guests for you, though, today. Tim Hudson. If you didn't get to see it yesterday, I interviewed Tim Hudson on NBC for A's pre- and post-game live. I thought the interview was a lot of fun seeing Huddy right before he would sign the autographs for all the fans. We're going to replay that. And what's cool about this interview is the fact that it's not only for you listening on A's Cast, but for you watching on YouTube, you'll see the video also. So we're going to satisfy both audiences here because that's what we do. We're a multimedia show. So the video people and the audio people, you're going to get Tim Hudson. You'll be able to see him. Then, of course, Mark Mulder is going to be here live at 5 o'clock talking about the big three. Tomorrow, we're going to have David Feldman on, our A's historian. We're going to do an A's top 10 best moments, big three history. I thought about this driving up yesterday, and I texted you too. I said, let's put this together because I think A's Cast is phenomenal for a lot of people. Summertime, we're doing different things in the summer. The sun is out. We like projects. We barbecue. We hang by the pool. We go for hikes. We garden. We take care of our house. And A's Cast is a great thing to have on for people who are just doing those certain activities. And I thought, you know what? How great will that be run throughout the summer? Top 10 big three moments with our A's historian, Dave Feldman. I think it'll be great. So we'll have it live for you tomorrow, and then we'll replay it on A's Cast throughout the summer. I think it'll be probably about a good half hour of programming because let's face it, we have a lot of people who listen to A's Cast who didn't grow up in the 70s. I didn't see the 70s teams. For me, I'm an 80s kid. So, yeah, the 80s guys. But then a lot of, like our buddy right field James, who's down in San Diego with his wife, as they're down enjoying downtown San Diego, then going to Petco Park, contacted me today. Like, that's that group. A lot of our outfield younger people that used to come to games, they weren't around for that. So for them, there is a whole group of the fan base that their love for the A's really starts with the Moneyball era. Billy Beane takes over in 97. You start to see the changes late 90s and the 2000s. Here comes Giambi. Here comes Tejada. It's Chavez. It's the big three. We have a lot of our fan base that could be another thing that we could do is top 10 Moneyball era moments, because that's where a lot of our young, and of course, being that we're streaming, we have a lot of younger fans. That's where their fandom comes. So when we start talking about us old dogs, we're like, oh, man, Canseco's my guy. They didn't really see Canseco as an A. The 1988 World Series where here come the A's against the Dodgers, right? And you start thinking about one of the greatest teams of all time. I mean, the 1989 A's is one of the greatest teams of all time. If you put PED guys in the Hall of Fame, you're now talking, I mean, Canseco should be a Hall of Famer. I know he's crazy. I know, but when you look at the first 40-40 guy in MVP, was he the best player of his time? Yes. And then you throw in Mark McGwire. So now you're adding that to Dennis Eckersley, to Ricky Henderson. You could make a case for, and we did it yesterday with Shooty Babitt on television, where I said, listen, if we're now all admitting that pitching's changing, and we have a lot of information to get into today with pitching, that we're gonna have to rethink. Is Tim Hudson a Hall of Famer with 222 wins, a World Series title? I mean, how many games he won for the A's? How many games he won for the Braves? What he did for the Giants? Is Dave Stewart, what he did as a 3-time World Series champion and winning over 200 games? Bob Welch? I'm just thinking of A's. Vida Blue? I mean, Vida Blue, you say, was a guy ever dominant in his era? Guy was an MVP, Cy Young, 3-time World Series champion. All the wins and all the games for the A's and the Giants. Is Vida Blue? I mean, part of the problem for Vida Blue is what happened in Kansas City, and we don't talk about that. I mean, Vida Blue, should he be a Hall of Fame? I mean, we're going to have to rethink. So when you look at that 89 team, truly one of the great teams of all time. But we got to highlight the big three. Why are we highlighting the big three is because obviously this is a deal where you have a lot of our audience just grew up loving them. And so we'll have Hudson today at 3:30. The great Mark Mulder, 6'6", left-handed second pick overall in the draft, one of the highest draft picks ever for the A's. I mean, if you could, like, make the mold for a left-handed pitcher, good-looking, dominant, worked fast. He'll be here at 5 o'clock. And then Jesse Agler, play-by-play man for the San Diego Padres, will be here at 5:30. And then we'll get you ready for A's baseball. You were at the A's game yesterday. How was it?
Took my wife's aunt and her little cousins to the game. They wanted to come and see they're Dodger fans, so they wanted to see Justin Turner. So they drove up from SLO, Pismo, and it was a good time. It was fun to be there.
They're what?
Yeah, Dodger fans. They were all A's stuff though. They had the Glenn Burke Pride jersey on. They had the A's headband on that I gave them.
By the way, I don't know if we do this anytime soon, but I learned a lot about Glenn Burke this weekend because Shooty Babitt played with him, and Shooty Babitt grew up around him. And Shooty Babitt was telling stories. Do you know anything really? I think it's sad. I think we're looking at his sexuality. We're looking at his race, and we're putting it with Pride Day, which is great. But I didn't know. I think most people don't know. Do you really know about him as an athlete?
I just knew he was an A and a Dodger. That's really about it.
Well, Shooty Babitt,
Shooty
Babitt. Well, no, I mean we don't highlight because we're using him, and rightfully so, but we're not telling about. Okay, I understand his sexuality, his race, Oakland. We don't mention, as Shooty Babitt will tell you, Glenn Burke was 6'2", 240 pounds. Glenn Burke was a specimen. Glenn Burke was built like an NFL linebacker and could dunk and was a terrific basketball player. He was like, maybe if Glenn Burke didn't focus, so I mean, he was a two-way, really good two-sport, really, really good player. Like, what if he just would have focused on one? Obviously, back in baseball, his sexuality hurt him in baseball. But I don't think a lot. Shooty Babitt told a story. This guy was a bad man. All right. Everybody knew that he was gay. And, of course, at baseball back in that time, it is what it is. But everybody knew Glenn Burke was a bad man. So I think they were in Ogden, Utah, Shooty will tell the story better, but the owner of this minor league team was withholding certain checks, and he had like this Doberman dog, and he was holding checks from the players, and guys were angry, and Glenn Burke came in and was like, "What's up?" And all the players said, "Yeah, the guy's withholding our checks, whatever." Glenn Burke grabbed a bat, said, "I'll be back." Went up to this trailer where the owner lived. Next thing you know, Glenn Burke came back with envelopes, and they all had money in them. I don't think a lot, like we need to really tell more of the story of who this Glenn Burke guy was, because he was impressive as an athlete. He was tremendous inside the community. He was great with all the kids in the community. This guy was unique. I mean, and that's the problem with history. We're not telling enough history about our former players.
It's like every year when we talk about Jackie Robinson, you always bring up Larry Doby. Like, we don't talk about Larry Doby enough. What he did in the American League.
Let me tell you something. Baseball was a lot different back then, but nobody was messing with a guy who was 6'2", 240. Glenn Burke, Shooty Babitt will tell you, nobody messed with Glenn Burke. Big dude. I mean, he's basically, he's built like Junior Seau. And he just said his shoulders just boom, and he could run, and he had power. This was a great story. Went up with a bat, wasn't worried about any dog, and he came back with an envelope full of cash for all the players. Here's your money. Here's your money. He was respected by everybody. So I learned a lot. I had a great weekend with Shooty Babitt. So I have so much to get into today, but you guys had a good time at the game?
It was great. Yeah, it was a good time. The kids got to run the bases after, so that was a lot of fun for them. They got to do that.
You got your big three, your Monday big three?
I do, yeah. I even made it open for it.
When do you want to do that?
I think I scheduled it somewhere right before Mulder, I think, maybe.
Okay.
Because I know how much pitching stuff you wanted to get into on Friday, so I left that.
Yeah, we got a lot. I mean, there's so much to get into. I thought baseball had a wonderful weekend. Looking at what we saw with Dodgers and Yankees, I know we all want to throw up, but folks, for the best of our game, when you got a premier matchup, did you see the parade that they had? The Dodger fans had Brooklyn. Did you see the parade? Was that in Brooklyn? I just got to see the highlights after I was working.
I just saw I didn't see where it was. I just saw the
All I know is Sunday Night Baseball, there were supposedly more Dodger fans at Yankee Stadium than the Yankees.
And you don't see that really
ever. You never see that. That's good for our game, right? Bryce Harper going yard, Mets and Phillies over in London. That's good for our game. Like, we need to highlight that kind of stuff. That is great for our game. I thought it was wonderful to watch over the weekend. Was fantastic. So exposure for the game. It's going to be one of my big threes, because we need to do that. All sports need to do it. We know how the NBA dominates in China. We know how the NFL just dominates globally. Baseball needs to get out there and do the same thing. So it's great when we go over and play in Korea. It's great when we go over and play in Japan. It's great now when we're going to Europe. I learned a lot about the whole London games in the NFL, because everybody over here tries to poo-poo it. It is amazing how people have opinions, and it is amazing how people will write stuff and say stuff that they really don't know much about. And it becomes like factual. There's been the narrative that, no one in Europe cares about the NFL. That's not, I feel like Mike Gundy. That's not true. I've worked a London game. I did Raiders Seahawks at one of the most historic venues in the world in Wembley Stadium. Packed, absolutely packed the whole weekend. And over there in London, which London is such a massive city, everybody has their favorite teams, because we've sent so many teams over there. You look into the stands and you see everybody's jerseys. Like Major League Baseball going over there and saying, come to our games. Let's have a party. Come see it is nothing but good for baseball.
My wife's in Scotland. She saw someone wearing A's stuff in Scotland.
Yeah.
And Mexico.
Dude, you go to Japan, they're A's fans. Why? Because of Moneyball, because of Hideki Matsui. You got to remember, Brad Pitt's a big deal. And everybody watched Moneyball in Japan. So when we've gone over there, it's like you'd be shocked how many Japanese people are wearing A's stuff. You'd be shocked. It's a global industry. That's why I always talk about, the global money. What scares me is that all the global money's coming in, but domestically, our product is not as popular. That's not sustainable long term. How do we get more people fired up about the grand old game again and grow it globally at the same time? We're so freaked out because we got a bunch of old men that don't want to change anything. Hell, the NBA's running a tournament inside the season now.
Yeah.
Right? The NBA's like, you know what? I don't care what old broadcasters think. I don't care what old writers think. The NBA's smart.
The Lakers hung a banner for winning the in-season tournament.
Yeah. Can you imagine saying that to our old broadcasters? You can what? We're going to have interleague play? Interleague play? They're playing a tournament inside the season. We've got to flush all the archaic people out. I'm sorry. It's just you got to go. Or don't give opinion because you're getting lapped by the other sports because the other sports are smart. And you know what? People were constantly talking about that in-tournament thing during the NBA season.
It was a big hit for the NBA.
Yeah.
I mean, every team had a chance. I mean, I forget who was in. You got to
adapt, man. You got to adapt. Two sports that, the PGA Tour is in trouble right now because of the Live Tour. They didn't adapt. If you're not adapting in your business, you've got issues. One of the interesting stories before we're going to get to the pitching thing to me, it's crazy. And last night, Sunday Night Baseball, we've been trying to help us all get through this as our sport does change. We need to just understand, and we talked to Mark Kotze about this, Ryan Spielborg's former player, Gaucho, UCSB, but, Spilly had a little bit of a nice career and now a terrific broadcaster. You're seeing him on the Apple games. He's got the talk show on Sirius XM, Loud Outs, and then he's a broadcaster, does color and play-by-play for the Colorado Rockies. Really a rising star. Talked about it with us here on A's Cast Live, where we have to stop looking at third time through the lineup as something, what's the pitcher doing? The pitcher is really irrelevant at this point. What his numbers are, what his velo is. Now, obviously, if everything's down, you get it. But the actual pitcher is irrelevant. It's the fact that the hitter is now more comfortable with you. And when you make the guy in the box, the human being in the box with the bat more comfortable, he's going to have better numbers. I can just give you an idea of where we are in 2024. First time through the order, opponents are averaging versus a pitcher 235. Second time through the order, it's 241. Third time through the order, it's 266. That is a massive jump. Slugging percentage, first time through the order, is 377. Slugging percentage, third time through the order, 428. Massive jump. K percentage. So first time through you're facing a pitcher, you're striking out 23.5% of the time. Third time, it drops to 18.8. So average up, slug up, I'm striking out less. Walks, relatively the same. So what the numbers show is we need to stop talking about what the starting pitcher. And I'm having to adapt because I hate it, but I'm starting to realize something. And it's, once again, our front offices don't want to tell us this because it makes them look bad. But it is much easier for us to find and build throwers of the baseball than it is quality pitchers. It's easier to find more human beings to throw this thing really, really hard and spin it And that's all I do. It's harder to find that than to find Greg Maddux. Because a guy like Greg Maddux, I got to find somebody who is durable and smart and super talented. You really don't have to be all that smart to throw this thing hard for an inning. And to have one grip, one pitch, slider, and that's all I throw. I throw it as hard as I can. I spin it as hard as I can. I can be the biggest rockhead in the world, but I got an arm. I don't have to be smart because I got a catcher who all of our catchers, like quarterbacks, they're going to tell you what to throw. It's a lot easier to find throwers than pitchers. So what these front offices are doing is they're saying, I don't care if these guys get hurt. I don't care if these guys get Tommy John. I'm just going to recycle as many guys as I can because I can manufacture like an assembly line guys who throw hard. All these kids go to throw labs. Everybody's trying to throw hard. I can just find you and keep bringing you guys in for one inning, and I take the starter out because third time through, no matter how many innings he's pitched, the hitters are more comfortable. So it's much easier to find rockhead, throw hard guys than it is to find great pitchers who can go 7 or 8 innings. Pretty simple, right? That's not hard.
No, not at all. I mean, if you just look at the leaderboard right now in Major League Baseball, I haven't looked in the last day or two, but I'm pretty sure there has been one. I think the leader in complete games has 2.
Pitchers used, grand total, everybody used, right? All 30 teams, how many you used? Last year was 863. To show you how dramatic this is, 1988, we're in the middle of the steroid era, right? 1988, you've got the greatest team we've ever seen in the 1998 Yankees. We've got guys hitting 60, 70 home runs. Bonds is not too far away, hitting 73. McGuire, 72. McGuire, what did he end up? 70. Sosa would hit 63 straight years. I mean, guys are hitting 50 bombs like it's nothing. We are right in the middle of the steroid era, right? Guys are juicing. Guys are on anabolic steroids. They're on human growth hormones. They're on testosterone. They're on stuff we had no idea baseball players could be on, right? They only used 557 pitchers in 1998. Last year, we used 863. The amount of pitchers that we have used, it's crazy. And sitting with Shooty Babitt this weekend, I gave Shooty that number. It floored him. Shooty's a guy that he has spent a career being a scout. He's got 4 World Series rings. He's worked for multiple organizations. Shooty sees talent all around the country at all ages, from the big leagues down to high school. And I said to Shooty, Shooty, is there really, and I gave him the number. I said, is there really 863 human beings qualified to pitch in Major League Baseball? Qualified. Can we find, hell, you and I, we can find guys. Are there really 863 human beings qualified to throw in Major League Baseball? What do you think his answer was?
No.
2018, 5 years ago, there was 799. 5 years from that, 2013, there was 679. So just 10 years ago, we've gone from 679 to 863. These are bodies. It's now like pitchers are like bodies now. Pitchers used to be stars. Now they're just bodies now.
What was the number last year?
863.
We're at 647 going into today for Major League Baseball.
Yeah, we're gonna fly by it. We're setting records on just bodies that we're using as pitchers.
We're gonna see it tonight. The A's have used 26 pitchers. That's 5th most in baseball. The Padres have used 18. That's the second fewest, tied for the fewest in baseball.
Well, pitchers used per game, we're at 4.20 a game each team. I mean, wow. So we need to change, though, because we have to adapt. We can complain all we want, but we have to adapt. So it makes me think, if we have to change, we as people who build teams, people who cover it, people who sell this game, what needs to happen? Do we need to have more pitchers on the roster? And then it got me thinking, okay, When do we have our best arms? If our best arms need to come out of the game a third time through, should we not have our best arms start games? Maybe the whole opener needs to be tweaked, but if I've got my best arm, my best arm's got to come out no matter what the pitch count is, he's got to come out the third time through. Is it better to have him come in third, fourth inning and let him pitch? Would that be a better strategy? Because our strategy as a starter has been what it's been. But once again, we need to adapt. We need our best arms in there at the right time. So do I want my best arm later in the game? And I'm not, maybe not fair, but the rockhead who just caveman pitcher come and throw hard as I can. Do we use caveman pitcher earlier and bring really good caveman thrower early and real good pitcher later in the game? Like Mason Miller is a great example of somebody who has this incredible arm, but still has a starter's mentality where he throws strikes. He's not caveman. Mason Miller, God-given ability, but he throws strikes with his fastball and throws strikes with his slider, and that's why he's so incredible, because he's not a failed starter. He's just a starter that couldn't stay healthy. Mason Miller's kind of what you like, man, if I can have a guy like that go 3 innings at the end of a game, do we now need to start thinking when do we incorporate our best players from a pitching standpoint? Because right now we're going best pitcher, but now I got to get him out and I got to go to caveman throw hard pitcher.
Sounds like you're throwing around the idea of the positionless staff. Obviously I like the idea. If we're going to do that, the opener, it does work. I mean, Tampa did it for how many years? Stop
putting labels on stuff because people don't like labels. Just all we're saying is
pitcher.
When do I use my best arm? So if I'm only going to get 18 outs or whatever it is, how many outs I'm going to get in a game? There's 27 outs. When do I want my best pitcher to be getting outs is the way to look at it. If you know that you're going to only allow this guy to see basically everybody, you wouldn't even you're only going to see him twice. Yeah, 18 outs, right? 9 guys in a lineup. You're going to see him twice. You get 18 outs. When do I want this guy to get my 18 outs? Is maybe the way we need to really start looking at when do I have my best pitcher in there?
And you're talking there about guys going 6 innings because 18 outs is 6 innings.
Yeah. So do I want him to go 4 through 9? Or I got a closer, so I don't want it. When do I want this guy to go? Because you know what? What was the problem yesterday? Taking Mitch Spence out. You took Mitch Spence out. Mitch Spence was your best pitcher yesterday. Fact or fiction?
A fact. I was there. I saw.
Mitch Spence was your best guy. You keep throwing Austin Adams Adams out there, man. Good luck, because I got to tell you, we've been acting like he is just this lights out pitcher, and reality is he's been a 3.6. Was he got a 3.63 ERA?
Yeah, 3.63.
Austin Adams has a 3.63 ERA, and we're rolling him out there like he's like Mariano Rivera setting up John Wetland. It's like, dude, Mitch Spence is dominating. Other than Kiner Falefa hitting the ground ball up the middle, Mitch Spence is spinning. Mitch Spence, I want to talk me. So Mitch Spence has a 3.12 ERA and a 1.19 WHIP as a starter. You're paying these dudes, Wood now on the 60-day IL, Stripling, you're paying these dudes money. They got over a 5 ERA. They were bad with the Giants last year. And this year, they're over 5 ERA again. Mitch Spence, your Rule 5 guy's got a 3.12 ERA, and he's going out there, and he's giving you legit quality innings. And Mitch Spence has done nothing but get you outs. We have to look at his ERA a little differently because as a reliever, his ERA is in the 4. But remember, he had to wear a couple games. And he and Kyle Muller, when you're in that long relief role, there's sometimes you got to wear some innings. You take those wear some innings out. Mitch Spence has done nothing but been a spin doctor, and he's cutter, slider, curve, randomly sinker. And Mitch Spence has been fantastic for the A's. And the kid going today, Joey Estes, I think we all go, he looks like he's got some dog in him. I'm enjoying watching these young guys. But then again, when's the best time to pitch them? Because the minute Miss Spence came out, Toronto was like, sweet. Oh, you're going to bring in Alexander? Varsho, rack into right field. There is something to be said, and even Mark Kotze said it to us last week. And I don't know if that was live on the air or off the air, where he just goes, sometimes you take a starting pitcher out, and that dugout goes, thank you. Since we're all into our little whatever we all do, we get on second base now. The other team should be like, thank you. We couldn't hit that guy, and you took him out. Thank you. Yeah. Bring in caveman reliever. And what happens? You just kicking stuff over there?
That's an empty can. It was
your Celsius over there?
I don't know where the Celsius came from. It was on the desk. I moved.
By the way, I have 8 million guava Celsiuses around my house right now. So if you're like me, you go to Costco and you get the big pack of Celsius. I love the mixed berry and I like the orange. Same. I do not like the guava.
Either do I. My wife loves it, so I leave those for her.
Well, we now have a wonderful lady down in our meal room. I bring her my guavas.
You're just man of the people.
Well, she's now been giving me her orange. So
at
first I just gave her my guavas. Now she's bringing me. She doesn't like orange. So we now have trading going on. But I got to tell you, I'm not a guava guy.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it either. Have you tried the new flavors they do, like the?
No, I do not like those.
Yeah, they're
but my AM PM, which is close to me, they've got all kinds of flavors, and I like them all. I just don't like guava. And what sucks is the big part of that pack from Costco is guava. Celsiuses are great.
Drink one every morning before I exercise.
I like coffee in the morning. I'm a caffeine guy. I like caffeine. I like coffee in the morning, and then when we get closer to post game, I'm firing down the Celsius, baby. I'm getting ready for all you SOBs in post game at 833-625-2278.
Robert Costa standing by now if you want to call.
I'm telling you right now, you call him post game, I'm wired. I've had a Celsius. I'm ready to take you on. All your complaints. I think this is an interesting conversation, though, don't you think?
Yeah.
I was coming up with this today, and it's just like the numbers show it, but the starters are still our best arms. When should we really think about incorporating our starters? When should we, if we know we're only going to give them at most 18 outs? And then I'm tired of caveman reliever. I'm just coming in. If you watch the highlight shows as much as I do, you see night after night these relievers come in, and they're just throwers. Kid throws ball hard, move him up through the organization. Throw as hard as you can. You're a two-pitch guy, and that's the reality. Front offices don't care about these arms. They're lying to you when they say they do. And all they want to do, find guys that throw hard and can throw a slider. And if you throw maybe a split, okay. By the way, Kevin Gausman split on Saturday. That was an education in pitching. I'm going to throw. So there's 9 quadrants of the strike zone, folks. There's the 3 quadrants at the top, 3 quadrants in the middle, and 3 quadrants at the bottom. Go look where he pitched. 4-seamers were up, so he got all the A's hitters looking up, and all the A's hitters can't hit fastballs. Why? We had a great picture at NBC. We didn't go with it, but it's Brent Rooker, of where Brent Rooker is hitting a home run and where his impact position is. So you see where his hips, so basically his pelvis, his chest, and he's hitting a home run. Yeah. Where that sweet spot is for all these guys who are launching it. Yeah. Well, that's not up in the zone. Mookie Betts yesterday, I can't remember who it was against, watching Sunday Night Baseball. And I went, that's why that guy's badass. Mookie Betts took like a 97 mile an hour up in the strike zone, tomahawked that thing into left field, hooked it down the line for a double. Bat control. He's got barrel. He can get his barrel all through. Our guys, they can't. You got to throw it in a specific zone for A's hitters to hit it, or they got no shot. Gausman worked up four-seamer, and then brought you the splitty all day long. And once he got their eyes up, swinging right over all the split fingers, and they had no ace hitters had no chance. They had no chance. That was just, I'm going to dismantle a lineup with my stuff, and there's nothing these guys. I'm going to get their eyes up and then split them to death. 10 strikeouts, complete game shutout, first of his career. That was watching pitching right there.
It was funny because it was like 10 years ago, almost to the day, when he got his only other win against the A's when he was an Oriole. And then here he is, and he looked great on Saturday. And he has not been good this year either. He's had a kind of a very down year for his standards.
Yeah, you know whose fantasy team he's on?
Oh, well, hey, maybe that kickstarts him into being good again.
Fantasy team.
Maybe that builds up his.
When's Corbin Carroll going to get his head out of his? Corbin Carroll sucks.
It's not looking good right now.
And I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm saying because he was the computer picked my team and drafted him first overall. He's my Billy McKinney. He's my Austin Beck.
Kyler Murray.
He's my AJ Puck.
If you want to use Kyler Murray, he's in the same state,
Well,
same general area.
Would the Arizona Cardinals like to trade back Kyler Murray to the A's? And would they pay most of the salary? Because he's got a big NFL contract now. But if they really could, because remember, they tried to put in his contract, they got to force him to actually watch tape, watch the film.
Because he's always playing video games.
Yeah.
I think he's playing Call of Duty.
Would the Cardinals, if they could do it all over again, would they trade? That's the Arizona Cardinals, not the St. Louis Cardinals. It's the Arizona Cardinals who play in Glendale, Arizona. Can an NFL team make a trade with a Major League Baseball team?
I don't know the inner workings of how that works, but
in both CBAs, I don't know.
I don't know.
Call Paul D. Podesta of the Cleveland Browns.
Sure.
Is he still with the Browns?
Yeah. What is his he has a fancy title with them. I don't know if it's not chief football officer, but it's something fancy.
I wish we could take phone calls. Like, I don't always I take phone calls in the post game, so I don't need to take phone calls up. But I wish we could take phone calls on this. Like, what do you think about that as fans? Like, if the evidence shows
chief strategy officer, be D. Podesta, that's his role.
If the evidence shows that we have that we're going to get 18 outs at best from these guys, and we know that the numbers just show that hitters are just more comfortable the third time through facing a pitcher, so you get 18 outs. What 18 outs should we get? Should we get the first 18, or should we throw a reliever out there early? Stop talking about the opener, because the opener is like a dirty word. Just say, we need to get a couple outs here before how do we go about getting the outs?
I was thinking about it, and I could be completely wrong. This is my thinking. Have a guy come in and pitch one, or have the guy pitch, because we'll use the opener. Just have a guy come and pitch the first 2 innings, and have that guy go get his 18, so 3 through 8, and then have your closer come in.
I like they were talking about the other day, forcing teams say you can only use 5 pitchers or 4 pitchers a game. Pick who they are, and that's who you can use. And, oh, by the way, you can bring them back if you want to.
Oh, interesting. So you took a guy out.
You got 5 guys to get 9 innings, and you can't bring anybody else in unless there's injury.
Okay.
And then maybe if it's like a 10 run, you could use a position player.
So you're saying kind of like what we do in spring training, where a guy can leave but come back in? Kind of like, so a guy comes out because you're a lefty and I don't want to face a
Name me the sport where a guy can't come back in the game.
Baseball.
Every other sport, guys are coming, boop, 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 boop. I guess soccer. Can you come back in after you get taken out in soccer?
Oh, I don't know. I know there's substitutions, but I don't know how that works.
Okay. Take soccer out because we don't know. But hockey, we have shifts.
Line changes, yeah.
In football, we have defense and offense. Basketball, we have a bench. Every other sport, you can come in and out. You can utilize your roster more that way. If we're saying there's these roster crunches, that's just food for thought. You want to play the great Vittorio DiBartolo's Big 3 video before we get to Huddy?
Yeah. By the way, it says here, most professional leagues allow 5 substitutions, but no re-entry for soccer. So there you go. So no.
So
Google could be wrong. I'm not.
Hockey, we got guys coming on and off the ice constantly.
Yeah, there's guys that have like 20 minutes of ice time, and they just keep shifting off every 50 to a minute, every 50 seconds to a minute.
I wish you know what? I wish I loved hockey more.
Stanley Cup game 2 tonight.
It's a great sport. Hockey is an awesome sport. I wish I would have played it growing up.
Yeah, it's frozen ponds in San Diego.
Those frozen ponds in San Diego didn't stay frozen very long for me. We had no hockey. No, you got to realize, when I was growing up, a kid in the 70s, early 80s, I didn't even know anybody who snow skied. Where were you? I mean, Big Bear would be like the closest thing, maybe up in Laguna. Nobody I knew went to the snow. Nobody I knew went skiing. We went to the beach.
Makes sense. You know, really popular down there now is the San Diego Gulls, the Anaheim Ducks minor league team. People say they're like the 33rd organization in the NHL because they're so popular and they do so well.
Cool. But I didn't grow up.
Yeah,
I mean,
you didn't have them.
Gretzky, and you got to remember, Wayne Gretzky did not come down to LA, which changed hockey forever. Because Wayne Gretzky came to Los Angeles in the 80s. What year was that? 80.
Let's see. Well, they won all those.
No, he just when the Islanders were winning in the 80s.
Oh,
what year was it?
Let's see. Hold on.
What year did Wayne get to the Los Angeles Kings?
He was a Los Angeles King. His first year was 88, 89.
Okay, 88. I was in high school. So Wayne comes down. I don't know if we have a San Jose Sharks if it's not for Wayne. I don't know if we have teams in Texas and Florida. Wayne changed the game, made hockey. Wayne took hockey from Canada to the United States, and that's why we have more United States teams than Canadian teams. Agreed?
I wasn't alive then, but I'll take your word for it.
I mean, he made it popular. Like, all of a sudden, like the Kings were like as popular as the Showtime Lakers. Like, everybody wanted to go to Kings games. All the celebrities wanted to go to Kings games. I mean, he made hockey cool where hockey normally wasn't cool. And next thing you know, expansion happened. I mean, there's a lot of factors that go in, but Wayne Gretzky was huge, right?
It's fitting you're talking about Wayne Gretzky, and tonight the Edmonton Oilers are in the Stanley Cup.
Could be the first Canadian team to win in how many years?
It's been a long time. Who was the last one to win?
So
Montreal,
my
maybe?
whole point is I wish I would have liked hockey more. I wish I would have played it.
I never played roller hockey.
I actually did play-by-play for the old San Jose Rhinos, the roller hockey league. You think that was any good?
I didn't even know who they were until now.
You never heard of the San Jose Rhinos?
I'm sorry, I did not.
Yeah. Don't think I haven't worked in minor league sports. For God's sake. All right. Let's get to Vittorio DiBartolo's Big 3 video.
Yep, they played this is for Alumni Sunday, which the first one was yesterday, so here we go.
Nasty pitch, striking out Owens. And he has a base hit to right center field. And he is stopping after thinking about going for a double.
Poor old granddad, I laughed at all his words. I thought he was a bitter man. He spoke of women's ways. They trap you and they use you before you even know. But love is blind and you're far too kind.
Hernandez bunting in his major league debut. Barehanded by Davis, he's on base. And that is a base hit over the reach of A-Rod. Giambi comes around and scores. Ramon Hernandez with a second major league hit and his first major league RBI.
Y'all don't know how much we feed off of y'all out there. Y'all were exciting all day, and we were plugging in there. It was a close game, but I'll take these guys any day.
What were your thoughts coming into today's game?
I was, really no different than any other start. I knew it was an important game, but I just love being out there in those kinds of situations.
And a bunt, third base side. Miller charging, barehand puts up, can't make a play. A's win. Ramon Hernandez surprises the Red Sox. He drops down a bunt on the second pitch, and Miller can make no play. The A's have won the game. When you wanna live, you get a cheek, makes you wonder where you are. If you want some more, then she's fast asleep. Did you twinkling with the stars?
Alumni Sunday. And if you're just listening on A's Cast, I apologize that you didn't get to see that. Hopefully you got to hear Bill King, Greg Papa, and some calls, the voices that you grew up listening to, the big three. One thing that, before we get to Huddy, that I didn't get to mention, but we do not really look at who scores first enough when we're talking about when we should throw our best arms. Did you guys know? Because we don't talk about it because it's 9 innings. When you score first, does it really matter? There are only 2 teams in Major League Baseball right now that have a 500 record when they don't score first. That's the Phillies and the Yankees, 2 teams with the best records in baseball. Everybody else in baseball is under 500 when they don't score first. We talk about scoring first in football. We know it's good. We don't talk about it in baseball. The A's right now are 17-7 when they score first. They're 9-34 when they don't. So maybe you think that's important why you have a starting pitcher, your best arm goes out first. This is all stuff that I'm open to investigating. Eno Saris, put the Eno Saris bat spotlight out. Put the bat, what do they call it? The bat
signal?
The bat signal. Put the bat signal out for Eno Saris. Figure this out. Because the answer's somewhere, right? Should we start caring about, man, get that first run? No, the data people want it to be large innings. I don't know, man. Whoever scores first seems to win a lot more than they don't. And there's a lot of ways to win games. Maybe we need to start thinking about it. Tim Hudson, though, I was looking at his numbers yesterday. You know, you really could, if we are in the land of guys don't pitch deep anymore, guys don't win games, guys don't strike people out. Because remember, it's a game of math. If you don't throw a lot of innings, you won't have a lot of strikeouts. If you don't throw a lot of innings, you're not going to have a lot of anything. You're just going to have these percentages and metrics that it's going to be hard to sell. It's going to be hard to sell Hall of Fame on XFIP, right? It's going to be hard to sell, like, you can't say, well, how many strikeouts and how many, it's going to be, if you're going to be like, well, let's take his strikeout per 9. That's how you're going to have to go with guys don't have 200 innings. 17 years, 222 wins, 3.49 ERA for his career. I mean, he had a great, a 120 ERA plus. He had over 2,000 strikeouts. His innings pitched were 3,126 and 2/3. As an A, he had a 702 winning percentage. He was 92-39 in 6 years. He was a terrific A. 9 years, won 113 games for the Braves. Now, unfortunately, when you pitch for the Braves, you're not going to be too high on their record books.
Yeah.
It's the Atlanta Braves, right? They've had some of the greatest pitchers to have ever lived. With the San Francisco Giants, he spent 2 years. What a career. Yesterday, I got the great opportunity to interview Tim Hudson. This is not going to be like our normal interview here on A's Cast like we'll do with Mark Mulder coming up here at 5 o'clock. This was on television yesterday, NBC Sports California, A's Pregame Live. But I want to play it for you because you can hear it on A's Cast and you can see it here on YouTube. Tim Hudson's with us here on A's Pregame Live. Huddy, it's great to see you, and it's good to see you back at the Coliseum.
It is. It's good to be back. I tell you what, it's great to see a lot of great fans and a lot of former teammates and the current players. It's just meeting them and getting to know some of these guys, and it's been exciting. A lot of memories jogging in this little dome of mine, and it's been fun.
Just take us through that journey. You leave Auburn, you rise through the ranks of the athletic system, and then you star on some great A's teams. Just what those 6 years here at the Coliseum in Oakland, what they mean to you?
You know what? It's such a special time for not only me, but, you know, all of my teammates. You know, we're able to come up and establish ourselves as big leaguers at such a young age and play on some teams that was really good, really exciting to watch. I know there was a lot of great memories with our fans here, just going crazy and just making it a true home field advantage during those times, during the playoffs. And just some magical moments. Obviously, you have a lot of monumental moments during those 6 years, but the 20-game win streak and just winning the divisions and getting to the playoffs for the first time in a while, and but not only that, but it was just creating those relationships with people, with teammates, and establishing that bond that's just really hard to break.
Yeah, you mentioned that bond. I mean, obviously, you had a phenomenal career, which you did in Atlanta and also in San Francisco. But those times in Oakland, even though you guys never won the World Series, just talk about how close you guys were in that clubhouse. Because when we talk about, hey, these guys are like brothers, that's what it felt like for us who were covering you.
It really did. It really did. I know we were kind of dubbed, the fraternity, the frat house of baseball or what have you. But, we were I think it was just a special time in our lives. We were all really young. We were all really excited to be in the big leagues. And at the time, maybe, I don't know if we really understood how good we were. But I think looking back on it now, and it's kind of hard to believe that we didn't win a championship or two during that time. But you know what, I think we were probably one of the more feared teams in baseball with the pitching staff that we could run out there. MVP after MVP with Giambi and with Tejada and, Gold Glovers all around the infield. I just think it was we were a team that a lot of teams around the league didn't want to face in a short series, and it just so happened to be that we would come up short here or there for whatever reason. But it was a time where we knew that we had a brotherhood in that locker room, and not only did we have a lot of fun in that locker room and off the field, but it translated to a lot of success and a lot of fun on the field too. And because of that, I mean, I think it's we'll run across each other here and there, but not see each other for 5, 6, 8 years, 10 years, and it's like you never missed a beat. It's and that's when it's really authentic.
Well, it's Alumni weekend, and it's about the big three: Hudson, Mulder, and Zito. Now when you look back on it, how good you guys were, how close you were, how you pushed each other, what do you think back when you think of the big three?
Well, it was just really special. I don't know that my career would have ever been as good as it was if I didn't pitch with those guys. Zito and Mulder was so good. They had some of the best stuff in baseball. And, for me, I'd go out there and just being able to be categorized like that with those guys, it was an honor to take the mound with that staff and especially with those two, on a weekly basis. And, you never knew what was going to happen, man. Zito was going to go out there and he might strike out 15, and Mulder may go out there and throw a no-hitter. And, for me, I'm like, man, I just don't want to go out there and look like the chump of the three. So I was just go out there and just try to get ground balls and get double plays and try to give us a really good chance to win. And, I think that's what good pitching staffs do. They go out there and they compete, with each other to be the best on your staff. And if you do that, you're going to have some of the best pitching staffs in the game. And I think that was kind of what we did. We wanted to go out there and not really outdo each other, but you just didn't want to be the worst of the bunch. And because of that, we were pretty dadgum good, and it was fun to be a part of it.
Well, you're being very humble. I mean, when you think back to Art Howe and you think about Billy Beane, in the big game, they wanted you. So thinking about that big three and the people around you said, hey, listen, our top dog is Tim Hudson. What did that mean to you?
Well, I mean, it's it's definitely an honor for any pitching staff in this league to consider yourself the ace or whatever. Not that I ever. I mean, honestly, I felt like we could have gone out there and. Not only the three of us, but I felt like our 4 and 5 guys were really good as well. But you know what? It does mean a lot to know that you have that respect of your management and your teammates, and which I think it was definitely a three-headed monster for sure. I think we could have gone out there and beaten anybody in the game at any given moment, and it was a lot of fun. It's I really have to contribute a lot of my success in the big leagues for those 5-6 years that I was here with those guys.
You mentioned the MVPs. You mentioned the 20-game winning streak. I mean, you grew up as a man in this organization. Just take us through some of your fondest memories there at the Coliseum. There were so many big games. Just a couple that you'll remember when you're walking around today.
Well, obviously the 20-game win streak is a moment that always stands out in everybody's mind. Not only with the 20th game, but a couple games leading up to that, was some very exciting nail-biting types of games. The 18th and 19th win was really exciting. I think in 2000, at the end of the season in 2000, when we won the last game of the season to clinch a playoff, the wild card berth in 2000 was something that was really exciting for me. It was a game that I started. It happened to be my 20th win of the year. See Jason Isringhausen go out there and close that game out to win and to get to the playoffs for the first time in a long time was something I think that was really special for us and for me in particular.
We'll end on this. A lot of people are walking into the Coliseum for the last time. Probably will be the last time that you may ever enter the Coliseum. What were those emotions and feelings like today when you walked in?
Well, it's kind of surreal. You walk in and this place had such a big part of my life and such an important time of my career, and it's always going to have a special place in my heart. And I know a lot of the former players that came through this Coliseum and this city. I think regardless of where this organization ends up playing one day, I think Oakland's going to always be our home.
Well, we appreciate the time. Enjoy today. The fans are going to love it. You're going to love being around the fans that absolutely love you. You're one of the greatest in A's history. Appreciate the time and just soak it all in today.
I will. Thank you. And I appreciate y'all having me, and it's great being back.
It's great seeing him, right? Man, he was awesome. And he showed in that video where his MLB debut actually against the Padres had a base hit in his debut. Because remember, he was a hitter at Auburn too. He's a terrific athlete. Draft athletes. It works. And he was a special player. Special time. Yeah, it's like you can't say enough that, you had these eras in A's baseball, whether you talk the early 2000s, the Moneyball era, then we take it to 2012, 13, 14, and then to 18, 19, 20, that none of those teams got to a World Series, but all had the talent to do it. I mean, it wasn't for Justin Verlander. Who knows? I mean, if the A's would have ever got past Detroit in 12 or 13, who knows? Like, you have that confidence of winning a series. You go to the next series. Those teams had great comeback ability. It's just sad. None of them got, because the Moneyball era, too much is about that damn book in the movie. And, by the way, Giambi was an MVP. Tejada was an MVP. It's not all about Hatteberg and walking.
Zito won the Cy Young that year.
I mean, come on. Those teams were stacked. They had great talent. But in the league, not like the National League now where there's only 4 teams. That's something I also want to get into today. I love the wild cards, right, for postseason time. But right now, I mean, when we're sitting here going, hey, everybody, don't worry. The wild card race is wide open, and you got a bunch of teams under 500. And do I have it in my big 3? Will I be talking about it in my big 3? I wasn't going to bring it up, but it was like I was listening to Mike Hazen yesterday, the GM of the Diamondbacks. He was on the GM show.
The front office show
as I was driving up yesterday. And Jim Duquette, Jim Bowden, Jim Squared. It's one of the best shows ever. The front office show.
Bowden will tell you it's an award-winning show every 5 minutes.
It is an award-winning show. I agree with them. They've never won any awards, but it's an award-winning show. So 2 ex-GMs get together every Sunday morning on Sirius XM Channel 89, the baseball channel, and they have all the executives. But I've come to realize they're selling garbage. Mike Hazen was selling. Yes, his team hit a historic run yesterday. It was great, but he was selling garbage. Are we calling Mulder?
No, he's going to join us.
All right. Coming up next, the other part of the big 3, Mark Mulder will join us right here on A's Cast Live.
Where does one community end and the next begin? Across the railroad tracks? On the other side of the river? Is it between the east side and the west side? At Comerica Bank, we believe it's all one community, and we're all part of it. That's why Comerica has invested over $20 million for affordable housing, financial education, and workforce development in lower-income communities. Because when we raise expectations for everyone, we all rise. Member FDIC, Equal Opportunity Lender.
Whether it's a midweek trip to the ballpark to catch a game or a weekend of baseball for the family, Grab your tickets for an A's game this season. Secure your seats today for all the biggest matchups, fireworks, drone shows, giveaways, and more. Don't miss out on all the things happening this season.
Throws and Seth. It's a drive into center. It's deep, and Straw is back at the track. He will turn and watch it fly.
So grab yours now at athletics.com/tickets. That's athletics.com/tickets.
Baseball season is officially here, and there's no better time to build your collection of Topps trading cards. Topps packs feature everything from top stars, rookies, game-used memorabilia, and autographs from players around the league, as well as special inserts and surprises. Visit your local hobby shop.
Hi, fans. This season, Kingsford Capital Management is the official hedge fund sponsor of the Oakland A's. At Kingsford, down to business is their way of seeing the world. Investing has its pitfalls, treacherous chasms of half-truth and despair. Kingsford's mission is to create opportunity through application of proven innovation and entrepreneurial focus with trust, tenacity, loyalty, and growth, establishing a strong reputation as a proven intendant and validated bedrock of American finance. Kingsford Capital, down to business.
Streaming from the studio, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
Well, we just saw my interview yesterday on NBC Sports California for A's Pregame Live with Tim Hudson, as Alumni Weekend was so special. Now joining us, Mark Mulder, also part of that big three. Mark, it's great to see you again. I always appreciate the time. We used to do that show together weekly back when I was on 95.7 The Game, and you were doing ESPN, and it was always great having your insight. But just really yesterday, watching you with the fans again and Tim Hudson with the fans again, it just was really cool. What was it like for you?
It's fun to be back. I mean, it's unfortunate that this is going to be the last season, but I mean, overall, the feelings all come back. The memories come back. You kind of start to remember a lot of things you forget or have forgotten when you're back there. And so some of my favorite things when I go back to the Coliseum is, believe it or not, is seeing some of the workers, whether it's the security people, the front office, or people that have worked at the stadium, that work in the front office, that have been there since I was a kid, and a lot of those people haven't changed. And so there was a lot of hugs yesterday with a lot of people that I'm going to miss seeing.
I asked Huddy about this yesterday, and the same thing with you being drafted out of college. You grow up as a man inside this organization, and you think about all the people. I mean, Keith Lippman just retired. Steve Vucinich just retired. But so many of the people that have worked for the A's, whether it's at the Coliseum or inside the organization, are still here. Just talk about what it meant for you to be in this organization for all these years and all the things that happened in your life and changes. You grew up and became a man in this organization.
Yeah, I explained it. I did a few interviews yesterday, and I said it. When I got there with the A's, I was a kid. I really was. I was very immature. I was very naive. I just wanted to go out and play baseball with my friends and try to do the best I could and dominate, and that was, I think, the mindset for a lot of us because we were such a young team. So a lot of us kind of grew up together. Seeing Ramon Hernandez yesterday, working with the team, seeing Bobby Crosby, a guy that I lived with my last season, along with Mark Ellis, or not Mark Ellis, not the last year, but, some of the other guys that we all lived in a house together. So it's just a lot of those memories, a lot of the Matty Weiss, who's now who runs the A's clubhouse, he was picking up underwear, he was a bat boy when I went my rookie year. Cliffy's still there. I mean, so many, Brian Davis, so many of the clubhouse guys are still there. And like I said, not only were they a whole lot younger, but so was I. And, we've all matured together, I guess you could say, because I keep in touch with a lot of those guys. And now they all have kids. I mean, it's just, life goes quick, man. And a lot of those relationships, you don't see these people much, but you see them and you feel like not a whole lot has changed.
There's so many great eras in A's baseball, But for all of us, we don't remember the 70s. I was just a baby when that happened. You weren't even alive. Then you think about the late 80s. And for a lot of the younger fans, and now the fans are like in their 30s, it was your guys' group that came aboard. And then all of a sudden you got Giambi and Tejada, our MVPs. You had all these great players. You had the big three. You had the winning streak. When you start talking with all the fans yesterday and you start reliving the memories, what does it mean to you that you guys helped build a big part of this fan base?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, man. It's they're just, and it's not even just in the Bay Area. I come across obviously people in traveling and whatever that they all remember our teams and from all around the country. And I think it was just at a time, it was at a time when we had a few of those battles with the Yankees and the Red Sox and whatever. And we were always the small market team that nobody gave any credit to and stuff like that. But I think because we were all so young, we stuck with a lot of the high school, college. There's just a lot of people who are between the age of, say, 35 and 55 who just tell me that they loved our team. And they can name a lot of the guys from that team. And for whatever reason, I think that was just kind of a big time, let's just say, for the sports networks, and our 20-game win streak and how much they showed us and talked about us. And we were, for being such a small market team, I mean, we were a nationally kind of known. And so it's really cool that a lot of just the things our team did is very remembered by a lot of people. And, and like you said, for some reason, the things we did those years, man, the A's fans, they remember a lot of it. And there's a lot of games. Yesterday, Huddy and I signed for about an hour, maybe a little bit more, out in center field, and the amount of people who came up and told stories. Quickly, because security was trying to move them through the line, but just told stories about certain games that they were at and things that they remembered and teammates, maybe a little story. I mean, I had numerous people tell me, hey, man, you took a picture with me when I was a little kid and I still have that picture. Things like that. And now he or she is a grown adult, and so it's pretty cool when you hear those types of stories.
Well, I want people, and the same thing with Huddy yesterday, the interview that I did on TV, I want to do the same thing here. I want people to remember how good you were. And I want people like, I said it yesterday on TV with Shooty Babitt. I said, hey, when you're looking at a left-hander, prototypical 6'6", big guy, works fast, nasty stuff, you had an incredible career, especially with the Athletics. I mean, and now that your kids are growing up and there's, hey, Dad was actually pretty good. He's more than just a golfer. Dad was actually a pretty good baseball player back in the day. I mean, when we think back of your career, you worked fast, you challenged people, you were about completing games. Yeah. Just go back memory lane and think about, the things that we talk so much about the big three. I want to talk about you.
I don't know. I mean, I wanted to finish. I always had the mindset I wanted to finish what I started. And I always had the mindset, which I try to talk to my kids about with sports, is that, if you don't have the mindset that you are the absolute best out there, you're not going to succeed. And I always had that. I always had the thought that no matter if my manager was going to take me out of the game, no matter who he was going to put in the game, even though he was probably right, in my mind, there's no way that person was better in that game than me staying in the game. And that's just how I had to think to have success. I can't say, my rookie year, I kind of struggled. I pitched a lot to scouting reports, things like that. And when I hurt my back at the end of my rookie year, and it was probably never for the best, but it really put me to work that offseason. And I came back and I made the decision that I was done pitching to scouting reports. I was done pitching to hitters' weaknesses, because those weaknesses, most of those were not my strengths. And so I took the approach if you're going to beat me, you're going to beat me on my best pitch. And I don't care if that means I'm throwing 3 straight sinkers down the middle of the plate. That might be your strength, but my strength is better. And that was just the way I approached it. I tried to throw 3 pitches. I tried to get 3 ground balls and get 3 outs because I did not want my teammates standing in the field for a very long time. I wanted them back in the dugout with an opportunity to score me some runs because I just felt like the longer they stand out there and the more running they have to do and things, whatever it is, the harder it is for them. And so I was just trying to make it as quick as possible, as efficient as possible to give my guys a chance to score some more runs.
I think of all the information that's out there now that we're giving these players and what you just said, you know, at some point, there's a reason why I got here. There's a reason why I'm successful. We spend so much time worrying about everything else. What you just said, you know what? I'm going to go with what I'm good at, and that's how I'm going to win. I have a feeling too many pitchers are taking the mound today, not doing that.
Yeah, and I'll give you a couple examples. Early in my career, Edgar Martinez, I remember Rick Peterson telling me, hey, he's got a hole down and in right here. Well, guess what? I threw a ball there, and he hit a double down the left field line. And, you know, because he went the other way so well. And so you had to pound him inside. But that next year, for the next 3-4 years that I faced him, I know he got some hits off me, but for the most part, he grounded out to short and third. I threw him sinker after sinker after sinker, and Xavi and Tejada got worn out. And that was now I still showed him inside, and I did certain things, but the point is that I was like, forget this. I have to pitch to my strengths, and I don't care. You know, when I was still doing some of the TV stuff, I would sit there and watch a pitcher throw 2 straight 95-mile-an-hour fastballs to a right-hand batter. He'd hit them both into the first base dugout, and the third pitch was a slider, and it was a double in the gap. And I'm in the booth just like wanting to pull my hair out because the numbers on their wristband or their pitch comm or whatever tell them that guy hits 180 off sliders. Well, guess what? That's not a time for a slider. You know, and there is a time and a place for it. And I'm okay with all the information that's out there now and how these guys want to try and use it. I think I'm sure the majority of it is great. But the reality is that when I watch pitchers pitch today, it can be really, really frustrating because I don't feel like they're watching the reaction of the hitters. And I don't think the catchers do either. And that will tell you all you need to know a lot of times about whether a guy is picking the ball up out of your hand, whether he's sitting on a certain pitch, things like that. They're pitching to the numbers. They're pitching to what the analytics are telling them. And I get it. There's a lot of times that's going to work. But there is a feel to pitching. And Ramon Hernandez and I were laughing about it yesterday. He's like, hey, Mark, how do you think you would do with this pitch comm? And I was like, I don't know, Moni, how do you think you would have done? You know, he's like, oh, man, I wouldn't have liked it. You know, just stuff like that, because sometimes there is a feel. I have a feeling on the mound. And even though it might be what technically would be the wrong pitch, if you execute it, it's right. And, you know, a bad pitch with confidence is way better than a good one without it. Because when you're rolling in a game and you maybe make that bad pitch, guess what happens? They foul it off. Because you have the confidence and you have the belief in that pitch. But if you're out there and you're slightly second guessing it, I don't care how good that pitch is, you're not going to get to have success with it.
Yeah, I think when you were making your comeback, that was with the Angels, right? The comeback?
Yeah.
And there was something, you went out and played catch with somebody, you were shortening your arm, your shoulder felt good, but then you hurt like your Achilles.
Yeah.
If you don't have that lower body injury, what do you think that comeback would have been like?
Man, I don't know. All I can say is that leading up to day 2 of camp, so I was part of the, you know, in spring training, there's different days when you throw at the beginning of camp. Well, I was day 2. So day 1, we go through all of day 1. Day 2, we are finishing our stretch. We're doing a little bit of agility stuff, and I am going over to the bullpen to throw for the first time for basically, other than the pitching coach, Mike Butcher was the pitching coach at the time, and other than him, maybe a few other people, nobody's really seen me throw much. And I was so excited to go, and we're finishing, and I'm backpedaling to a cone, and I got to go up and to my right, and I popped my Achilles, and so I never even got to throw for everybody, or for at least for the main people to really see it. I always said I never would have come back. My arm, was it slightly shorter? It was more the takeaway at the bottom. The arm action wasn't really any different. It was just when the ball left my glove, it didn't go down as much. It kind of went more out. And when that happened, man, it was hard, because I'd put in so much work. We had 3 little kids at the time, and my wife probably didn't love it as much as I was putting in the work and trying to get myself prepared. But it was tough, because I was really excited and I felt really good about it. And I really had the belief that, I know it had been 5 or 6 years, whatever, since I'd thrown a major league pitch, but I really felt as long as I had my body ready and my arm was ready, I was going to make that team out of spring training. That was my goal. And I to this day, I still believe it was going to happen. But then after I always said I was actually succeed. I wasn't going to go out there and be like, well, I'll see what I can do. Because I knew what I needed to be able to do on a mound in order to get big league hitters out. And before I hurt my Achilles, I had the stuff to do that. I really believe that. And after I rehabbed my Achilles and came back and started throwing, it wasn't the same. And everybody's like, oh, well, just sign with someone. Go see what happens. And I didn't want to do that. I knew it wasn't good enough. I knew the way my arm worked and the way my body felt. I knew it was not going to be good enough to have success at the big league level. And I didn't want it that much to just go give it a shot in AAA for a few months. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to know that I could go and succeed at the big league level.
Well, if people are watching this, they still see the passion. I mean, what was in you as a competitor, and now it shouldn't surprise anybody how you took that to another sport and another love, golf. And you think about, people playing, you've won Tahoe, 3 times? And you think about the celebrity, why does Tony Romo still have the juice? Because you guys, you can't play in the NFL, or you can't play Major League Baseball, or you can't play hockey or hoops or whatever it is, but that fire in you as a competitor still burns. And that's why you love golf so much. It's been a lot of fun to watch how you've taken, you can't play baseball anymore, but hell, your golf game's pretty damn good.
Yeah, when you compete, I say it, I competed my entire life. And then all of a sudden in 2009, it was like I had nothing to compete for. Or I didn't have, and I needed an outlet. I needed something, probably more for my head, because I had competed. I'd worked out for a reason for so long to prepare for something, to get myself ready for a season, whatever it was. And all of a sudden it was just done. And I remember going in my office at my house and I Googled amateur golf tournaments and just started trying to find anything that I could, because I needed something. And it wasn't necessarily for me to try to go win something or to go be the best at anything. It's just, I needed to compete. I needed to have that nervous energy feeling. I needed that adrenaline rush almost of something where you feel slightly uncomfortable or slightly nervous about or anxious about. And golf kind of supplied that for me. And then lucky enough in 2010 or 11, I was fortunate enough to get into that American Century event. And I started trying to just find, because I'd never played competitive golf. So I was just trying to find any sort of amateur golf tournament to play in, to just test myself, because I knew when I went to play in the American Century, I was going to be nervous. I was going to be uncomfortable. And so I needed to find something to, same thing with baseball. You're trying to prepare yourself for what's next. And lucky enough, I did. I started playing in a bunch of stuff and started having some success. And sure enough, a couple times in the American Century, I started off really good. And then day or 2 or 3, I was told, here comes Dottie Pepper on the NBC golf cart. And all of a sudden the camera posts up right behind me. And the amount of uncomfortable thoughts that go through your head in that moment never went through my head at any other time. And the amount of thoughts of, what if I shank this and I hit somebody? Or what if I don't hit a good one and my buddies all see this? Like, and I'm out there going, what am I thinking about this for? So it took me a few years to kind of get used to it, to that stage, I guess you could say. And in 2015 and then 16, 17, I was lucky enough to win those.
Well, too bad you're not around. I got Link Soul now as a sponsor here. We got golf going. Would you ever think you'd see Link Soul connected with the Oakland A's?
I know, right? It's crazy how things change.
Hey, thank you so much. I mean, obviously, you know, you're one of the great A's of all time, one of the great A's pitchers of all time. This fan base will always, always love you, and we always love having you on the program. Be well, hit them straight, and we'll talk later on.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
The great Mark Mulder right here on A's Cast Live. How cool was that? Huddy yesterday, Mulder today. When are we getting Zito? When's your ballpark kids coming up, Commander?
We'll have to effort.
I don't want to hear about a vacation.
We'll have to effort Zito.
I wish I had a vacation. You going on? You're always on vacation.
Well, we're all going on vacation.
I'm working through the season.
We're all going on vacation at the same time next month.
What? I'm not going on vacation. I'm working through the All-Star break. Going to be grinding all the data.
On the beach?
In Hawaii. Mulder's right, though. Like, there is a time and place to utilize everything. But as a athlete, you got to remember what you do well. And too many times we're trying to force you. But wait. This guy can't do this. I hear this all the time. I don't talk about it because then everybody's going to be like, oh, here they are. They're complaining. But so many times they go, this guy, and here's the numbers, and here's the proof. This guy can't do this at this point. So that's why you have to do it. And you're like, wait a minute. That's not my deal. But we don't care. We know that he doesn't hit this pitch in this count, so you have to throw that. And you go, well, I don't do that. But no, we don't care the number, right? And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But there's so much information. What is the best information for each person? And nobody wants to answer that. No one wants to go on record and really talk about it. I say all the time, it's the biggest problem in our game. There's not transparency. And I always like to use other sports. I might know that against this defense in football, this is the throw you have to make. But the problem is my quarterback is not comfortable or good at making that throw. Football people are smart enough to know, well, then I'm not going to have them do it because there's a chance that gets picked off. Baseball people are not smart enough to know. They go, no, make him do that throw because that's what the numbers say to do. It's like baseball people they've evolved with their knowledge. They have not evolved with their feel for the human. And that is a broad statement. I get it, but I think it's true, right? Because you know, and I know 100%, an offensive coordinator could have all the data in the world, but he's not going to have his quarterback do something late in games that he is not comfortable with or he's not good at. That's stupid. Right?
Yes.
We've been around football. I've worked in the NFL for years. I know what the hell I'm talking. They would not do that. I'm not going to take a grade. I'm not going to have Joe Montana do stuff he's not comfortable with at the end of the game. I'm going to call plays he's comfortable with against the defenses. This is completely opposite. They will say, our numbers say Joe Blow cannot hit this pitch on this count, so you have to throw that pitch. And the pitcher may say, I'm not comfortable with that. They'll say, I don't care. The data says, this is what Mark Mulder was saying. I've got to pitch to what I feel is right. even Scott Emerson, as much as I love him, and I've said, well, Emo, what if the guy's not comfortable with? He goes, still throw that pitch. And I go, no, I rather throw what I feel comfortable with. And they'll go, nope. The data says this guy can't hit this, so you have to throw it when we say you throw it. This stuff's going on. No one wants to really get into it because no one wants to go on record to say how much they're controlling the game, right? Tampa Bay. I was in Tampa Bay. I had this long conversation. Kevin Cash, he's manager of the year. How many times? Manager of the year, man. Their game's scripted. You can script out baseball games pretty easy these days because benches are so where they are and bullpens are where they script those games. Is he really that great of a manager if everything's scripted? Does everybody really, do the players really respect him? I mean, the players don't make a lot of money, so they have to listen to it. But players always say once they leave Tampa, they're like, whoo, get me out of here. Yeah, was he that great of a manager? I know this. People left Oakland and say nothing but the greatest things about Bob Melvin. And the relationships and what he was, how he treated you as a man, how he treated you as a professional, all these kinds of things. All the ex-players will tell you that. You never hear about any of that with Kevin Cash. Because his play, we're out here, they're over there in Tampa. All the players kind of know, right? St. Petersburg. Like, even our friend Ryan Stanek has kind of said some things. Like, I don't know if there's this ultimate respect for Kevin Cash. Hey, did the front office have a lot to do with the A's and Bob Melvin? No question. But all these players left Oakland with total respect for Bob Melvin. You don't hear that with all these other. So it's a tough thing right now in our game. Who's controlling what? Who's calling what? Who's doing what? And who wants to own up to anything? Right? That's where you're the head football coach. You got to stand up in front. You truly stand up in front of the national media in the NFL, and you got to wear it. Hey, it's my decision. I'm the head football coach. Well, who's doing that in baseball? Now, managers will say it, but we all go, well, what's that huge booklet you got that's telling you what to do? Right? That's what's like, there's not a whole lot of transparency. And I agree with Mulder. I want my pitcher to throw what he thinks is his strength. Utilize the data that says this guy in this count can't hit that pitch. It's a reference point. But if I'm not comfortable throwing it and I now spin that slider without confidence in that count and it's a hanger, well, that guy may normally not hit that. But if I hang that thing down the middle, guess what? He's now hitting it. What do you think?
I think you're both right. I think you don't want to put a person in a situation they're uncomfortable in. I mean, that'd be like you telling me, hey, I can't do it today. I need you to cover 2 hours. I'm not comfortable with that. So, and I'm not going to succeed doing that. You're great at it. I'm not. So I'm using an example of everyday life with this.
It'd be like we're playing hoops outside. I have a park across the street from my house. We're playing hoops. You don't like shooting the corner from the three. Or shooting three from the corner, yes. I should say. But all of a sudden I say, Cody, you better go make that.
I never saw a shot I didn't like.
I mean, I'm not going to tell Manute Bol at the end of the game, hey, bro, we saw you shoot that 1-3 as a Warrior. We all thought it was cool, but.
You're not giving Shaq the ball at the three-point line?
No, I'm not putting Shaq at the free throw line. I'm throwing the ball down for Shaq to dunk. I don't want him to get fouled and go to the free throw line because he sucks.
You don't want Shaq running the fast break?
No. I put guys where they're good at. Steph Curry wants to shoot a three from wherever. I'm cool with that.
Because he can do it.
Draymond Green, it's like, no. Sometimes he makes it, but a lot of times you're like, no. By the way, I want to use the word drip. Now, normally I'm not going to use the word drip. You're not going to use the word drip. But you know who did use the word over the weekend? On television and off? The great Shooty Babitt with me. And it was a great conversation about some guys having a little too much drip a little too early. Now, Shooty can say it, and it sounds spot on. If I came on and started talking about guys drip, I'd sound like a moron. But we got to talk about that a little bit later. Jesse Agler join us next.
Yes, he's actually here right now.
Is he actually here?
Yeah.
You think we can go to Jesse? We talk about drip. Guys having a little too much drip.
No such thing.
Yep. Our super scout Shooty Babitt and I were doing TV yesterday, A's pregame live, and we started talking about players drip. And I went, if I went with that, I don't think it would go over well.
Like your own drip, you mean, or talking about their drip?
Their drip, my drip, anybody's drip. Like Justin Turner, yeah, you remember now he's with the Blue Jays. It's the jerseys open with the chains. Swaggy was recently mentioned with Fernando Tatis Jr. Yeah, us going over Swaggy probably doesn't go over well.
No, like I have no drip, but I appreciate the drip that other guys have, is I would say where I come in on that.
How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
We're doing well. Obviously a year when you're 26-41, but last year was so bad that this year, it's like we didn't have our 26th win till July. So every win, we're a little bit better. And there's a lot of stuff going on. I mean, it is what it is. There's a lot of drama, but, getting through it, knowing that this will be the last year in Oakland, then heading to Sacramento, there's going to be a lot of change. For the Padres, here they are, a game under 500. Where are we in Padre land?
Still kind of maybe looking to find their footing, if that's a fair way to put it. They've sort of been, doing this dance, 3 games over 500, 3 games under 500, back and forth. But while they've been doing that, they've been doing it without a couple of their best starters, who are on the injured list. They've been doing it really without Machado and Tatis doing what you would expect them to do. That has started to change a little bit here. So it kind of feels like maybe they are primed to take off a little bit. Fernando is as hot as he's been maybe since 2021, before the injuries and before the suspension. Machado, prior to this little hip issue that he came up with the other day in Anaheim, was starting to swing the bat, I think, the way we all expected him to this year. So it hasn't really all come together. But the National League, being what the National League is this year, I mean, they're right in the thick of the thing. I think they'd be the second of the 3 wild cards at the start of the day today, even, a game under 500. It seems like definitely their best baseball is ahead of them, and that they are sort of on their way to playing their best baseball.
When you think of everything that's happened with Fernando Tatis Jr., who at one point was looking like, hey, we want to make him one of the faces of baseball. He's so dynamic, the shortstop, the flair. We know everything that has happened since, and there's a huge contract there. How is it kind of a relief? How are people feeling like, okay, this is the guy? I mean, he's red hot right now. You circle him and say, don't let this guy beat you. How is everybody feeling right now? The numbers are looking really good. That makes you just feel better about this long-term contract.
I don't think there was much concern. Hi, Vince. I really don't, I don't really think that people were worried about it. I think they believed in the talent. They believed in the individual. Last year, he still put up some pretty good numbers and won a platinum glove out in right field, even, having come off the injuries and really not having been himself and not having played a major league game in an entire year. And I think we all kind of looked to this year of like, all right, this is going to be the year we would expect him to get back. That sort of, as I like to say, MVP-ish kind of guy that we know he can be. And it looks like it's heading that way. And maybe it was naive to not be worried about his production this year, but I wasn't. Nobody I talked to seemed, concerned about him being able to get back to these levels. I think we saw enough last year, even after having missed an entire year, to sort of feel like, all right, everything's going to be fine with this guy.
How good of a right fielder is he? Because we know the athleticism's off the charts.
It's an amazing thing because, one, I get to sit next to Tony Gwynn Jr. every night on our radio broadcast. Tony was an elite defensive outfielder. So he has a very good eye, obviously, for this kind of stuff. And we can have some great conversations about outfield defense. And we do a lot of spring training games on our radio broadcast. And last year, the first year that Fernando was in right field, we were watching him out there in spring training. And it was like, I don't know about this. And then spring training ended and the regular season began. He was still suspended for another 3 weeks. Came back April 20th at Arizona. Started in right field that night. And it was like from that night on, he looked like he had been there his entire career, his entire life. It was the damnedest thing, honestly. Like, he was an elite defender from moment one in the regular season. And again, this is 3 weeks after we saw him in spring training. And we were kind of saying to each other off the air, like, I don't know if this is going to end up being the right play here. It was a remarkable thing. And we never really got a great answer out of him. Like, hey, what changed between the end of spring training and the start of your regular season defensively? He just kept saying, I got more comfortable. I just had to figure out how it felt, how it looked. And I mean, if it's that simple, good for him because he's that kind of talent. But that's it. I mean, he just, from that moment on, he looked like he had been doing that and he had been born to do that. This year the metrics are a little bit down, compared to this point last season out there. But he's also getting fewer opportunities, to throw guys out because everybody learned about the arm the hard way last year. I think even on the field today during batting practice, I heard people, with the A's kind of reminding the players, hey, remember, if you take a wide turn around first base, he'll throw behind you. I mean, that's the kind of thing he's capable of. So it's really been an amazing thing to watch because you're not supposed to be able to make that transition so easily.
Well, and to watch how it affects other people. I remember Melvin telling me 2 years ago, Bogarts is coming in, Tatis, but he was like, our best shortstop's Kim. I mean, what you've seen is Kim's legit at shortstop. I remember Bob telling me that.
Yeah, Kim, won a Gold Glove last year as Fernando did, but as kind of a utility guy. And this year they kind of committed themselves to saying, all right, we're going to put Kim at short. And he's very, very good defensively. And his bat is starting to come around a little bit now as well. So it's been all good. From his standpoint, he's a free agent to be. I know Bob is a big fan of his. And, we'll kind of see how that goes. But he's a guy who, arrived with very real expectations. I don't know if you saw the clip from Eric Hosmer's podcast from a couple of months ago. They were talking about Kim when he first got here and just, how much pressure and stress he felt, Kim did, kind of when he first got to the big leagues and how it was eating him up inside. I mean, this is a well-told story at this point, but his rookie year, I mean, he had like a patch of hair missing from the back of his head. No, I mean, that's real stress, right? And so to sort of see him go from being that guy to the guy that won a Gold Glove last year, that hit all those home runs last year, who's really turned into a legitimate everyday borderline star player. That's a cool thing to be able to watch, that progression up close and in person.
And Jurickson Profar, who obviously played for us back in the day, got to know Jurickson over the years as he was the #1 prospect coming up with the Rangers. We've known Jurickson for a long time. They don't have this award, but if there was an award for best deal in baseball, is it easily going to Jurickson Profar this year?
I mean, for the Padres, he might look back at it and be like, man, what happened there? But yeah, best bargain of the year, right? In free agency. I don't often mention guys' contract numbers unless they're, like exorbitantly high because it's, I think, kind of interesting to fans. But the reality is, Jurickson Profar may very well end up starting the All-Star game and the Padres sign him to a $1 million deal before spring training.
Incredible. It's incredible.
In the year 2024, right? Not in the year 1995. Like, I mean, just an incredible thing. To watch him just be himself and be comfortable and be productive. It has been wonderful to watch him kind of have the light back and the smile back and, had a really tough time last year at Colorado, ended up with the Padres at the very end of last season. Easy to forget. They were out of it. He had been released by the Rockies and he showed up here and he hit really well. And they went, I think, 16-5. With Profar on the roster at the end of last year. And there were some people who were maybe trying to make a thing about that and say, oh, look, it's the Profar effect. And you couldn't really take that seriously in the moment. But in retrospect, maybe we should have taken that a little bit more seriously because he brings an energy and a talent to this team. And I think this team and this city brings something to Jurickson Profar that really allows him to be at his best. And it's been great.
Yeah, I remember him with us. He had become a young father and always had that big smile every day. Good dude, really good dude. So I'm super happy for him. How is the change? You get to deal with the manager all the time. I don't know if you talk to him on a daily basis, but how's the change been in skippers?
For us, great. Mike Schild, who's in charge now, had been around the last couple of years. So we got a lot of opportunity to talk to him. And I mean, I'm kind of very much of the belief of one of the great perks of my job. And one of the things that makes me very lucky is that I have access to like those kinds of baseball minds on a regular basis. I love this game. I have loved this game since I was 3 years old. And to be able to talk to literal major league managers on a regular basis and coaches and guys who have been managers and guys who are players and have been players, I consider a great privilege and something that I really try and take advantage of. So, Mike was kind of, in this sort of nebulous role the last couple of years, filled in, did some different stuff on the major league side and on the minor league side. But I'm looking at this guy as like, hey, he was a big league manager and he's happy to talk to me anytime I want to talk to him. And so, we built a little bit of a relationship the last couple of years. And now obviously that, he's at the helm of this thing. I get to talk to him every single day. Just a good man, just like a nice guy. He knows baseball. It is in his bones. It's also neat in that his perspective is a little bit different than most every other managers in baseball in that he never played pro ball. He played as a kid and in high school and in college, but he never played professionally. And that puts him on a very short list of guys to become major league managers. So, as a non-player, that's a little bit relatable to me. I can kind of ask him some different kinds of questions, but, a man who was really well schooled coming up through the Cardinal organization for a lot of years. He's been around the game forever. His mom worked for the AA team, which at the time was the Orioles affiliate in Charlotte, North Carolina. He grew up in that clubhouse around guys like Cal Ripken Jr. So, he is a baseball lifer in every way other than having been a major league player himself, and a tremendous resource for all of us.
Well, the National League's going to be wild. Only 4 teams over 500. We've seen the Phillies recently as a wild card in the World Series. D-backs last year. Padres had the great run against the Phillies. So you just got to get in. And when you look at the wild card standings, there's a long way to go. Padres are still in this. So have a great call tonight. Enjoy this series, and we'll check with you later on during the season. And, we always appreciate when you stop by A's Cast Live.
Anytime, Chris. Always my pleasure.
Be well.
You too.
Jesse Agler, play-by-play man for the San Diego Padres. You saw Vince Cotroneo there behind, going into their booth behind enemy lines. Saw Tony Gwynn Jr., another friend of the program.
Vince was getting intel. One of them probably want to hear what Profar's.
What's Vince doing?
He probably want to hear what better question. What's Johnny doing? I know Johnny's on the road trip, but what's Johnny doing?
Oh, he's eating, hugging somebody. Johnny is eating, hugging somebody. He's got food and he's hugging. Food, hug, That's what he does.
Bro.
National League wild card race. Do you know who the 3 teams are right now? There's 4 teams in the National League over 500. Just 4.
Mm-hmm. Padres, Cubs, and Braves. Is that correct?
It is Cubs. It is Atlanta, number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Comfortable. They're comfortable.
Yeah, they're in.
Padres, uncomfortable.
Under 500.
Followed by the Cubs, uncomfortable. Followed by extremely uncomfortable Cincinnati. Way uncomfortable San Francisco. St. Louis. These teams are all under 500. Your Pirates are still in this thing at 31-34. Everybody's still in it. They're all under. Look at this wild card. Once you get past Atlanta, who's the number 1 wild card team, it goes Padres under 500, Chicago under 500, Cincinnati under 500, San Francisco under 500, St. Louis, Pittsburgh, Arizona, Washington, all the way to the Mets at 28-36. The Mets, who are a disaster, are only 3 games back of the last wild card. They're still in this.
You want to do the big 3? Because you just took one of my big 3s. That was, well, actually, I tied 2 of things together with that.
Your big 3 is the Mets are still in it?
No, the wild card.
Oh, okay.
The whole National League.
I just had to. I love it for playoff time. For regular season, I hate it because Mike Hazen yesterday. Okay, we're gonna get the big. This is not my big 3. It was gonna be my big 3 because I don't want to be negative. But these GMs are selling garbage. I was listening to Mike Hazen on the way up. Oh, we got guys that are hurt. And dude, your team stinks.
Jordan Montgomery is a bad signing.
Don't tell me. They're still trying to play. Well, it's just June, dude. Your team stinks. I know, because your best player was supposed to be my best player on my fantasy team, and he stinks. You're 31-35. You're getting your ass handed to you, and you're trying to sell like.
It's early.
Okay, put it this way. Yes, they all are in it, but only 3 are making it. So that means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let me get that right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 aren't.
Yeah.
So we've got 12 GMs all saying, oh, well, a lot of you aren't making it. So you can play the we're still in it. When we get some guys back, and you're set. These GMs have become salesmen. There's no transparency. They don't want to be honest. They just speak in this. It drives me up. Listen to Mike, and Mike Hazen's a good dude. I was just listening to him on the way up going, he's selling. This is a used car sales job right here.
He's selling jeans.
I go to the Carfax. Your car stinks. And you're trying to sell. I'm like, hey, 9 of you are going home. So you got 4 months. You got 4 months to play this dog and pony show. 9 of you are going home. Bye-bye. And you know what? Here's something. You sell whatever you want to sell in June. You fall short with all these wild cards, boy, the heat on your job can get fast.
Unless you're AJ Preller.
Unless you're AJ. Well, I mean, that's the thing, too, now with the wild card is that you don't make it. I mean, at what point, what if the Giants don't make it? And you just sign Farhan again? You're like, we haven't even gotten into it. We don't have to wait till tomorrow. The whole The Athletic has done a player survey. San Francisco is one of the places they're not interested in playing in. And they said if state taxes don't matter.
Yep.
That was a bad sign for Oakland, too. But go ahead.
All right, here's the new open. Let's see if you like it.
The sports weekend has come and gone, and it's time to look back on the big 3 stories from the weekend.
And now Mulder delivers the 3-2, and it's swung on and missed as Cash strikes out, and Mulder has a 1-2-3 bottom of the 4th. And the 2-2, Guerrero, huge cut and a miss, and he strikes out a Tim Hudson fastball.
Here it is, 2-2 again. He struck him out. Fastball up and in. DeZito gets the big strikeout from Garcia-Parra.
The biggest matchups, dominant performances, and game-changing plays are all in play with Chris Townsend on A's Cast Live.
The big 3. Here's number 1. I lived it. Sunday morning, NBC Sports Bay Area. I'm in the green room with the great Shooty Babitt. Giants are taking on the Texas Rangers. They can't put the game on. Isn't NBC Sports Bay Area the Giants television station?
Mm-hmm.
Don't the Giants own 32% of NBC?
That's what I've heard. Yes.
And they can't put their own game on. You know why?
No.
It's on Roku.
Oh.
Roku. And all the employees are like, we can't get the game on. And Shooty and I are laughing because we're like, oh, really? Too bad.
Our game's on.
Friday night. Where were the Dodgers? The biggest matchup that we got maybe of the year. This was a huge matchup. Dodgers in New York, coming home. Dodgers-Yankees. Where was that game?
Apple TV, right?
Folks, it was so great to be at NBC Sports this weekend and to watch the world try and understand streaming is coming. What you're watching right now, what you're listening to right now, streaming. This is the future. This is what I've invested my career in, streaming. And guess what? Watching the other side, the cable people still try and hold on and watching them like, we can't even get the Giants game and we're the Giants station. I quietly stood there, didn't say anything and went, they don't get it. Major League Baseball is going to soon come out with a platform where everything you're going to get is off streaming. We've been trying to tell you that. That's my number 1 takeaway. I was at a cable station watching them struggle with the idea that streaming is taking over. Streaming is taking over. You had Yankees and Dodgers on Apple TV on Friday night. That's the only place you could watch it. Giants, Rangers, Boch versus Melvin. In the Bay Area, you had to watch it on Roku because they just did a deal. This is the future, folks. Streaming is the future. That's my number 1 takeaway of my big 3. Go.
It was the Dodgers winning 2 or 3 in New York for me, but it was Dodger fans taking over Yankee Stadium 1. There's a lot of subplots for me. Fans chanting, "We want Soto" because he didn't play, and they're booing Trent Grisham.
You get one. You get three. Is this all three? Or you
more importantly, I'm excited.
You don't get bullet points for your three.
I'm excited that Aaron Judge is on pace to potentially try to break his own home run record, which is good for the sport. That puts eyeballs on the sport.
Well, my number 2 of my big 3 is Aaron Judge is the biggest freak we've ever seen in the history of the game. This man is a freak. As much as everybody, Towny this, Towny that. When Ohtani starts pitching, and Ohtani, you can tell me when he's going to pitch. Like, the Ben Verlander thing was so over the top. Let's be honest. Ohtani, we never knew when he was going to pitch. Could you even get 20, 22, 25 starts? When is he going to start? It was great. It was unicornish. I get it, but there was no consistency to it. I got into it with the Angels writer, Sam Blum from The Athletic. This is the greatest thing ever. I went, no, it's not, because how do I win? I got to have 6 starters. It screws up my pitching staff. It's like cool for you guys to sell, but his skill set on that team, there's a lot of issues. It's not as it's cool to see, but it's not as great as you think. And everybody thought I was an idiot. Was I wrong? Their pitching staff was a disaster. You didn't know when he was going to pitch. Well, he's not feeling it today. We're going to push him back. You never got consistent starts. You need consistency to win. So that's why Aaron Judge, let's just respect that this man is 6'7", 280 plus pounds. They're lying about his weight. He's the largest human being, size, width, horizontal and vertical, as we like to talk about in pitching. He's the largest human being that's ever played baseball, and he's playing center field. He's on
Yankees.
He's on pace for 58 home runs. He's got a 436 on base and a 703 slug, both higher than when he won the MVP.
And a month and a half ago, he's hitting 170.
Drafted by the A's in the 31st round out of high school, but he was going to Fresno. But then drafted by the Yankees, number 32, 32nd pick in the first round. That was extra picks.
Yeah, comp picks. Yeah.
Who did we pick that year in front of Aaron Judge?
What year was this?
2013.
Oh.
Billy McKinney.
Oh, so we brought him up earlier?
Yeah. Billy McKinney. We didn't take Aaron Judge. So you wonder about drafts. Billy McKinney, outfielder at a Plano West High School in Plano, Texas. We took Billy McKinney and not Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge, we should just respect. I hate the Yankees. You hate the Yankees. But to watch a man be 6'7", 280 plus pounds, play center field and hit like he does, it's truly amazing. You want a once-in-a-lifetime player? You're not going to find many guys built like an offensive tackle playing center field and hitting bombs like that. It's incredible. Number 2 for you.
Well, we already told you the NL one's one of them, so I'll just do my last one. This could be a very dull, maybe the dullest trade deadline we've seen in a long time, because so many teams in the National League are.
You're right.
We're going to be buyers. Who's selling besides the A's, Rockies, Marlins, White Sox, and
who's over 500?
4 in the National League. So there's your 4. The AL's a little more. But in the National League, there's so many teams that are going to want to add, and there's not enough teams that are going to be willing to sell. And it's going to be very, as of right now, if you look, it's like we're less than 60 days away. Going to be very boring, unless the Blue Jays decide they want to sell, or the Mets, the Giants maybe want to trade Lamont Wade or something like that. It looks very boring right now.
My last takeaway from the weekend: exposure for the game. Look at our big 3 here. Big 3. Great for the A's, great for the A's fans. I thought the exposure over in London was fantastic. Watching a guy like Bryce Harper do the like going onto his knees like he scored a goal. You may not think it's big. Trust me, over there it's big. Expanding the game is huge. I think exposure for the game, we need to celebrate, even though it makes you want to vomit in your mouth. Exposing the whole Dodgers-Yankees is huge for our game. Making our game greater, making our game more fun, celebrating our history, celebrating our future. I thought this was a big weekend a big win for baseball. And they looked like they were having a great time in London. I mean, look at all the Dodger fans at Yankee Stadium. How can you not look at all these kids who were getting the autographs from the big 3 yesterday at our game? How can you not say exposure for the game of baseball wasn't great yesterday.
No, well said. I mean, I watched some of the London stuff. I mean, we watched it live. I mean, I thought it was way better than when it was Yankees Red Sox.
Oh yeah, it wasn't 4.5 hour
hours.
games. These are other than your boy Marte. You want to know? Thank God we didn't sign Marte long term. Oh my God, what he did, it was the worst. 95% probability he should have caught it. He just dogged it, and then a huge inning became. Marte, when he was playing for the A's, was looking for a paycheck. Since then, great show today. Mark Mulder, Tim Hudson, Jesse Agler of the Padres coming up. We're back tomorrow at 4 o'clock.
Yep. David Feldman, the top 10 best big three moments. We're going to have, I'm trying to do this every month with him now, kind of like with Fran. We're going to have Bill Moriarty tomorrow go through the A's farm system.
Love it. Padres and the A's, 3-game set from Petco next, right here on A's Cast and the A's Radio Network. This is Chris Townsend. I'm proud to announce our year 2 partnership with Link Soul. They've changed my wardrobe, and they can do the same for you. And right now, their spring collection is fabulous. Natural fabrics and versatile styles, perfect for this time of the year. And they want to introduce their performance line for golf, premium for on-course apparel design, and to keep you cool and dry. Check it all out, linksoul.com. That's linksoul.com. Remember, look good, play good.
Where does one community end and the next begin? Across the railroad tracks? On the other side of the river? Is it between the east side and the west side? At Comerica Bank, we believe it's all one community, and we're all part of it. That's why Comerica has invested over $20 million for affordable housing, financial education, and workforce development in lower-income communities. Because when we raise expectations for everyone, we all rise. Member FDIC, Equal Opportunity Lender.
Being a Chevron car these days has been quite the adventure. Miami to Seattle, ocean to ocean. I've stopped at so many states and collected so many bumper stickers. Sometimes I feel like a moving passport book. It's just so great what I can do with Chevron with Techron, because it gives me unbeatable mileage and keeps my engine clean. Plus, there are so many Chevrons along the way. Now the only thing I'm worried about is where to go next and where to put all my new bumper stickers. Chevron with Techron, fueled by possibility.
If you haven't been to the Chicken Pie Shop in Walnut Creek, what are you waiting for? You're going to love the new menu, and it's a great place to watch all the games. Come taste their world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 86 years. They have a new spring menu with special dishes and a full bar with new delicious spring cocktails. Spacious indoor and outdoor dining, perfect for your next corporate party or birthday celebration. Don't forget free parking. For more information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
Nestled in the hills of San Jose, minutes from Silicon Valley, Cinnabar Hills Golf Club offers 27 holes of championship golf, a first-class pro shop, practice facility, and great food in the grill. This time of year also means family and business get-togethers. Let the folks at Cinnabar Hills make your event unforgettable while enjoying their award-winning venue. It's all there for you. Championship golf, a great space for any events, and incredible food. See it all at CinnabarHills.com. That's CinnabarHills.com.
Hi, fans. This season, Kingsford Capital Management is the official hedge fund sponsor of the Oakland A's. At Kingsford, down to business is their way of seeing the world. Investing has its pitfalls, treacherous chasms of half-truth and despair. Kingsford's mission is to create opportunity through application of proven innovation and entrepreneurial focus with trust, tenacity, loyalty, and growth, establishing a strong reputation as a proven intendant and validated bedrock of American finance. Kingsford Capital, down to business.
Whether it's a midweek trip to the ballpark to catch a game or a weekend of baseball with the family, grab your tickets for an A's game this season. Secure your seats today for all the biggest matchups, fireworks, drone shows, giveaways, and more. Don't miss out on all the things happening this season.
Rose and Seth. It's a drive into center. It's deep, and Straw is back at the track. He will turn and watch it fly.
So grab yours now at athletics.com/tickets. That's athletics.com/tickets.
This has been a presentation of the Oakland Athletics.